Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all our viewers who have joined us live for this exciting episode of Listen to the Experts. I'm your host, Sharik Mohammed, and this episode is a very special episode for a reason. Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all our viewers who have joined us for this exciting special episode of Listen to the Experts. I'm your host, Sharik Mohammed. The reason this is a special episode is because for the very first time, we shall be hosting not one but two guests who will be sharing their expertise on the topic of discussion future of photography in light of AI. I believe photography has evolved over the years, but today it stands on the brink of an evolution, rather a technological revolution like never before, especially after the emergence of AI. We're joined by two incredible visionaries who will unravel the mysteries of how artificial intelligence is shaping the future of photography. So, without further ado, let me quickly introduce our first guest this evening. He's an assistant professor at University Institute of Media Studies, Chandigarh. His area of expertise is photography and visual communication, and he's currently pursuing PhD in mass communication. And his research area is the impact of artificial intelligence in contemporary photography and visual communication techniques. Please join me in welcoming none other than Mr. Nitin Kumar Mengi. Hi, sir. How are you, sir?
Hello, sir. Very good evening, and very good evening to all the viewers all across the world. Thank you so much for this opportunity to interact with the world and a very enthusiastic world. Thank you, Sharikji. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, let me introduce our next guest. He's a famous photographer whose lens captures not just moments, but the very essence of urban existence. With an uncanny ability to find beauty in the mundane and poetry in chaos, this street photographer, who needs no introduction, weaves a narrative that transcends time and place. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Sammya Brata.
Hi.
Hi, sir. How are
Hi,
you, sir?
everyone. Hi, Sharik. Hi, Nitin sir.
Thank
Hi,
you so much
everybody.
for
Hello, sir.
joining us today.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you
So
so much.
before
So
we
excited.
proceed, yeah, same here, sir, same here. Before we proceed with our Q&A, let's quickly have a look at the portfolio of Mr. Samya Brata and see his area of expertise. Let me quickly start with our Q&A today. Let me begin with Mr. Nitin Kumar Mengi. Sir, you are the subject expert here. You're doing a PhD when it comes to artificial intelligence. So, if you could put it in simple terms for a layman, in a layman's language, what is artificial intelligence?
Thank you so much for this question, Sharikji. First of all, wonderful images, Samyaji. Truly, story. You are a storyteller. And in line with this, I just want to share one thought. In 1950, there was
I'm
a
sorry, I think
mathematician.
we're facing some technical problem. My backend team, can you guys confirm if you're able to hear Mr. Nitin? I'm not able to hear him.
May
Sir,
I?
give me a moment. I'm checking. I'm not able to hear you. You can hear him, but I can't hear him. Nitin sir, can you say something?
Yes, sir. Am I audible to you?
I can hear you now. I can hear you now. Sorry for that
Okay.
interruption.
Okay, sir. Not an issue.
Please continue, sir.
Uh, yeah, I was saying in 1950 there was a mathematician, and he shared a very wonderful question regarding the technological development. Can machines think? And I think that's what we are discussing even today. Yes, now we can say that machine can think, and not even think, they can replicate the human intelligence also, right?
Mhm.
One can say simply in photography. See, everybody is photographer these days. Everyone is photographer. But now there is a difference between a photographer and photo artist. Just like Samyaji, he is a visual storyteller, right? And there's still a debate going on about the artificial intelligence and the aesthetical point of the human, that how the tools of artificial intelligence that can replicate into human intelligence through aesthetical modes.
I think you've raised a very good point here. Talking about, I think over the years, what I've noticed when it comes to photography is that we have had two sections now. Earlier, it used to be just photography, but now I think we have photographers who believe in original content, producing original content, and at the same time, we have photographers who call themselves photo artists. Who may not necessarily rely on the reality part of it, but it's more about reflecting their vision. Samyasan, is this something you would agree with? Have you also noticed this kind of a trend going on?
Yeah. I hope you can hear me now, right? Am I audible, Sharik?
Yes, sir, you are
Yes,
audible.
you're audible, sir. You're audible.
Right, right. Yeah, I think first of all, it's an age of transition, where people slowly but surely, the ones who were called photographers are being called into photo artists, or to some extent content creators. It's a very very interesting transition phase that we are right now moving into, and this is not just in terms of photography, but if you look at our everyday life. For example, you are browsing through Netflix, right? Or you are trying to order food from Swiggy, you will find recommendations appearing on your screens even before you probably searched for a particular web series name or a name of a movie. What is this? This is nothing but AI, right? They are learning through your browsing history, the way your preferences are going, the way your food habits are in some way or the other being influenced by certain set of cultures. So our daily life is slowly but surely turning into a dependent factor, dependent quotient on AI. And why not into smartphones? Why not into cameras, right? So to be honest, when in the first instance when Photoshop was introduced to the photography world, a lot of concerns were raised that whether the originality of a photograph would be maintained through Photoshop or not. But then we do understand that Photoshop is being used to enhance a photograph, and its originality, its purity is definitely maintained. So when we go through a phase of transition, when technology and creativity all go hand in hand, I think what is very important is to strike a balance. And I think in this world of moving technology, emerging tech coming into the being, and cameras actually using AI very, very well, I think it's up to us as photographers to take the battle forward. So, yes, a very pertinent point being mentioned is photographers transitioning into photo artists, and we being somewhere, trying to adapt to the newer trends for sure.
And sir, further adding to this point, we all are living in global village, and we also have to be integrated with the technological developments in all the areas. And yes, why not from photography? And it's not about that the aspects of photography goes down with the artificial intelligence, but yes, you can invent very so many new things with the help of artificial intelligence tools and techniques.
Mhm. That's right. Now that you've mentioned this point, I would like to ask this question to Mr. Nitin here. So, where do you see the future of photography alongside with AI? Is it going to add up, or will it take away from the creativity?
Definitely, sir. Because uh, future of photography, just like these days, so many artificial tools are there, even in smartphones also. And even DSLR companies, just like Nikon, is also having artificial intelligence tools in their interface. So, because just like I said, that we have to integrate ourselves to the technological development, and thereon we can, we can participate in so many things with the help of artificial intelligence. The only thing is that we need to understand that artificial intelligence is just a tool for a photographer, just like the Photoshop or the other tools which is available in the camera. And future of photography is totally bright with the help of artificial intelligence. But yes, you have to become a photographer, then you know how to customize the tools of artificial intelligence in your daily routines or daily, whatever you are clicking.
Yes, Samyasan, is this something that you would agree with? To begin with, you have to be a photographer first. Only then the artificial intelligence you can incorporate in your workflow, probably to take it to a next level. But the basic criteria still remains that you need to have that creative vision in the first place. The artificial intelligence cannot replace you as a photographer. Is that something you would agree with?
Yeah, I mean, it takes me back to my school days when there was a term called catalyst, in chemistry. Catalyst
Yes.
is something that can actually either influence a reaction by in terms of probably it will fasten the reaction, but it cannot initiate that reaction, right? It is something that will influence the results, but it cannot commence that creative process, right? So a photographer will become a photographer with if he's a photographer in his mind first, right? If he starts to click pictures, if he starts to visualize, and then goes ahead in terms of actually replicating or probably sharing the same results either in form of print, in form of digital, in any form whatsoever. So AI actually cannot go ahead and replace um, creativity in any form, to be honest. For example, let me give you a little example, that because Nitin sir mentioned that it's a tool, it's a very strong tool to begin with. So what is very important is just talk about the Nikon Z8, because I'm using the Nikon Z8. It has some really amazing features. Like one is the tracking, the subject tracking, in terms of the focusing system, the autofocus system. Now, I was recently photographing in one of a very popular festival in South India called Pulikali, where the tiger is being painted on somebody's body. And okay, did I lose someone in the process? Yeah, I think, did he drop
Please
off?
continue, sir. Please continue.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So what I observed is that in that setup where a human body is actually being painted, and there are eyes on the body of a person, that's the painting, that's how the Pulikali tigers are being painted. The Nikon body could actually understand which was the human eye and which one was the painted eye. And in terms, the eye that was painted on the body was quite large. So technically, if the AI, the technology was not strong enough, in that crowd of hundreds of worshippers, probably it wouldn't have actually tracked the human eye. So as a result, what I can see is definitely technology is helping us in the process. But at the same time, I do need to see which particular subject do I need to frame first, and then probably AI will help us in the process, right? So I feel it's going to be just going to enhance photography as an experience. It's not going to initiate the process for sure, right? Nitin sir, do you have something to add to this?
Yes, because I think Sharikji, yes, sir, I totally agree. And moreover, we also have to understand that photography is not only about the storytelling. Now, the just like the the with the technological developments, photography is having the new dimensions also, including commercial photography, medical science photography, food photography. There are so many aspects of photography. The only thing is that with the help of your technical skills, you have to understand that where you can implement the tools of artificial intelligence, right? For example, in medical science photography or forensic science photography, maybe the impact of artificial intelligence is not that much in that area, right? Because the genre is totally different. I have worked in the I got the chance to work with the some of the institution just like PGH Chandigarh, and I've worked with the some of the with the help of compound microscope, I got the chance to click the photograph. The where the pure evidence should be there, but there are so many other dimensions of photography through which you can work. You can implement the artificial intelligence tools. Just you mentioned already that with the Nikon and so many other smartphones. Companies, they are giving these kind of tools to layman. I have started photography way back in 16 or 17 years back, and even the DSLRs was not that common in that time when I was started my journey. But with the technological development and the integration of technology, because photography is the art and science, the mixture of art and science. But first it is science, then you have to become then it become an art, right? Just like in 1826, these days we are just within fraction of second we are getting an image. But to get the first image of the world, it took 8 hours, 8 hours of exposure, right, with the printing technique. So from it's almost 200 years of legacy. It's not going to impact negatively from the artificial intelligence. The only thing is that the community or the photographer community, they have to work, that they have to understand how we actually implement or how we customize these artificial intelligence tools to the our field. Welcome back, Shariki.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
welcome
hi.
back.
Yeah. Sorry, I lost you guys there for a minute, but I'm back now.
So,
Let me just quickly switch to my main camera.
Right. No, I think
Okay,
I completely
we
agree
can
with
continue
what
with that.
Nitin sir was saying. So yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
we what we discussed in the middle, Sharik sir, is that whether the AI can actually quick start the process in itself, which we completely
Mhm.
we were on the same page that it cannot. It can only support you and enhance your experience as a
Exactly.
photographer. It cannot start the entire process, right? So your question
Mhm.
has been answered thoroughly.
Yes. Yeah, I think I completely agree with you on that, guys. But I think there are a lot of photographers in photography community who have this apprehension that, over the years, is the creativity as we know it, is it going to be replaced by commands and prompts? How would you like to respond to that?
Nitin ji.
I guess sir, साम्या जी आप पहले आप शुरू करें, then I'll add.
Sure. Sure,
Yeah.
sure. So, see, I mean, I'll again give you a classic example of how things like a Chat GPT
Hmm.
or some other Discord channel where most of AI generated images right now are actually distributed over the internet. So what has happened is, if I give you a scenario, say for example you are heading out to the streets. Today is a very gloomy day in Calcutta. Say you have certain things in mind that I'll go and do a few juxtaposition shots with the rain, and maybe somebody with an umbrella with a backdrop, something like that. You have certain things in
Hmm.
mind, right? Now if you sit back on your computer, give a prompt, it will definitely give you a result. But for
Hmm.
example, if you had gone in to shoot a juxtaposition and you ended up doing a beautiful portrait, that is the beauty of street
Hmm.
photography, the unpredictability, right? That can
Exactly.
never be generated when you're sitting in a studio, or maybe you're sitting on Discord just trying to give out prompts, right? Yes,
Hmm.
what can happen is for people who are into, say, fashion photography. If somebody is into advertising photography, right? So a lot
Hmm.
of it goes into planning. A lot of your thought process goes into the recce process to think about how the set should be, how the lighting should be, what kind of costume should be there to bring in the maximum impact. So a lot of
Hmm.
effort goes in, a lot of monetary implication also goes in towards preparing a set. Now sitting at either a Chat GPT or any other platform that gives you AI generated results, if you can put in those prompts and if you can figure out that, okay, this kind of lighting should be used, this sort of props could actually make the scene stand out, this sort of expression
Exactly.
should be there in the model. So for that,
Hmm.
probably something like this, something like an AI could be very, very helpful. For us as street photographers, probably no. But at the
Hmm.
same time, I would believe that maybe if I've not visited one part of the country, maybe for example Run of Kutch, I've never visited Run of Kutch. So if I am
Hmm.
trying to think, or if I'm trying to actually imagine that how would my street photographs look in the Run of Kutch, maybe I could get a fair bit of idea sitting at a
Hmm.
an AI generated machine, but I can never replicate the sort
Hmm.
of result that I would be getting on ground. So that's what I feel
Hmm.
about this
Yeah, I
question.
think I would completely agree with you on that, because I think, if photographers, tend to think of AI as being a tool and use it uh, like more just to get an inspiration rather than completely depend on this. So I think it makes sense.
Further,
Nitin, San, what
further,
is your
further,
opinion?
sir. Yeah, further, Sharik ji, sorry, I was interrupting you.
Yeah, yeah, no problem, please.
Just like sir said, well said, sir, Samya ji. See, creativity cannot be described into words, basically. What I have observed, I was watching a small video from BBC about the Bharat Muni's Natya Shastra, and the video describes over the crux of video is basically the creativity is basically what you see and what you show, right? So we need to understand that artificial intelligence is all about programming, right? It's actually created by the humans, right? So and
Yes.
on the other side, creativity is basically subjective, so it cannot hit creativity. It can add the some dimension to the creative aspect of any image, maybe a AI generated image or something like that. So
That's completely correct. So what Nitin San, I would like to ask this question to you again. What do you think are some of the very common advantages of AI in visual medium when it comes to visual medium? I mean, I can think of one example right now is initially when you used to write a script, it would take a lot of time for a script writer to actually put his thoughts on the paper, and you would design everything. And now all you have to do is uh, the AI with the use of a chat GPT, you can write a script in like half an hour and then improvise upon that. What apart from that do you think are the advantages of AI when it comes to practical aspect of photography or visual communication?
very, very good question, sir. You was not there, and we both were discussing on the same pattern. That see,
Oh,
photography is having so many different dimensions now.
mhm.
In the last 200 years, it goes to medical science and different dimensions. And there are some dimension of photography in which the artificial intelligence it will take time to to enhance that. But yes, there are the few of the field of photography, just like commercial photography, food photography, which you can use the tool of artificial intelligence to the encourage the audience to enhance the quality of image, right? So many tools are there. Face recognition is there, scene recognition there, and even these tools are actually including in DSLR these days also, right? And the best part is when we started our journey, it was all analog cameras, but nowadays photography is very common to the common man, right? You are having all these options in smartphones also. So when a amateur photographer shifted himself or herself to a DSLR camera, so it is very helpful to a DSLR manufacturing company also, that the person who is actually coming to DSLR camera, he or she is having the knowledge of the AI tools also, right? So this will help out.
Yeah, I think with the advent of AI, I mean, there are a lot of camera, Nikon being one, basically, where we've integrated artificial intelligence in our mirrorless cameras, and we have a lot of features which are based on artificial intelligence. Actually, for example, the skin softening that we have recently introduced, the portrait impression balanced, and not just that. I think if you look at the scope of artificial intelligence being integrated into the photography ecosystem, the cameras being one example, I think it can help on a lot of parameters. For example, taking your autofocus capabilities to a whole new level. Improving the low light performance. There's a lot of scope when it comes to artificial intelligence and the integration part of it into the camera
that
technology.
that's what we actually on the now same track, that we have to know that which part of artificial intelligence, which tool of artificial intelligence help the different domains of photography. For some
Exactly.
photographers, those who are very good in those who are working nature or bird photography, they need some kind of tool for that, which may help, right? And which may not overcome the actually the development of the photograph, that this photograph is basically purely AI generated photograph, right? That should not be there. But yes, that again depend upon the photographer. If he or she is technically sound, he or she can use the AI tool as per his or her own policy.
Yes, and take that, take the skill to a next level. But I would like to ask this one question to Mr. Samya San. Since you're a full-time photographer and you're out there in the field, I want to get your opinion on this. How much do you think is too much when it comes to artificial intelligence laced visual art? Do you think there should be a line which separates the real world photograph from AI laced one?
Right. So, see, I mean, to be honest, I just mentioned that we are in phase of a transition where we are trying to adapt more and more technology and trying to merge it with our creativity, our skill level to get maximum sort of results. So I think where there is, to be honest, there is no line per se where you can actually stop using. I mean, of course, there's no question of stopping using technology because all our DSLR or mirrorless cameras are using AI anyway. You talked about the autofocus. I obviously talked about the skin smoothing part as well, which is
Mhm.
almost like a first level of frequency separation, which is done in camera, which is absolutely remarkable. When I used it, I am not a portrait photographer, but when I used it in one of my environmental portraits, I was absolutely stunned. Now
Mhm.
it is up to the choice of the photographer whether he wants to use it or not. To what extent should he use it, right? If I talk about, just to digress a bit from just the technology inside the camera to the editing process, right? By editing
Mhm.
process, I do not mean post processing here. By the way, there's a misnomer that
Mhm.
probably editing and post processing are similar. It's not. Right from the point when you start culling your pictures from a set of 1,000 to maybe
Mhm.
100, that is the point when editing starts. And if I can use
Mhm.
AI, using both the deep learning as well as machine learning technology to actually cull down my 1,000 pictures into 100, that will
Mhm.
save a lot of effort, right? A huge amount of effort will be saved in just arriving at those 100 pictures, which I'll now process in either a Photoshop or a Lightroom, in whatever technology that we want to use. So I feel that there will be a lot of debate around the park that whether AI is good for photography is not. What I feel is that it is purely dependent upon the person who's using it, to what extent he will
Exactly.
he will use it and produce it to the
Mhm.
rest of the world, being very transparent. So if he has
Mhm.
used AI in some way or the other, that should be
Mhm.
mentioned very clearly in the caption, the description, wherever it is
Mhm.
posted or presented in any form, right? We do not want non-transparency in this spectrum. If everybody is transparent, I think we will build a very beautiful ecosystem all around us. That's what I feel.
Yeah, I think that's a very beautiful point that you've raised. Being part of an imaging industry, where you're constantly looking at a lot of different images which are sent to us from photographers across the country, and then at one point of time, I think it becomes very difficult to differentiate from a real image and from the one which has been AI generated or probably somehow manipulated using an AI. So, as a photo editor or somebody from the imaging industry who really want to, be authentic about their images, it has kind of been a little difficult process for us. Nitin san, would you have any comments on this?
Yes, sir. See, again, it is up to us. So, when I went to any class of any student, I always, try to teach them. If you want to learn photography, then you should start from P for photography rather than P for Photoshop or post processing, right? And
Exactly.
these generation, the the current generation, they are fond of filters on their mobile phone, so they are used to it, right? And you know what,
Mm.
they actually want such kind of filters even in the camera. So we can say
Mm.
that artificial intelligence, it is actually enhancing the aspects of or the dimension or the creativity of the photograph rather than the impacting on the negative way. The only thing is that the way you use it, just like Samya said.
And yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it basically comes down to the photographer, depending on the amount of manipulations and changes he wants to make in his photos using an AI tool, and the honesty and authenticity he wants to, that credibility that he has, and the honesty that he wants to put it out there in the field that okay, this is an AI generated image, and this is how I've manipulated or somehow edited this image using an AI. I think that a bit of an honesty is very important when it comes to looking at this aspect of AI and photography. Yeah, we also talked about the incorporation of AI in cameras, and a lot of functions that it's able to add to our equipment, to our lineup of cameras, and to a whole new level which it can take our equipment to. What I would want to understand from Mr. Samya San is that being a street photographer who heavily relies on the authentic photography, presenting the reproducing the authentic images, presenting the scenes as they are presented to you as a photographer. Do you see yourself using AI tools in future, or are you currently using any AI tools to enhance your photography?
Well, this is a very interesting question. I do not know whether I'll use AI for street photography in the future or not. But at this moment, I don't see that this as an opportunity because one is, street photography is all about patience. It's all about perseverance. It's all about, going to the same spot almost 20, 30 times because you want a particular shot to go your way, which is not in your control, which is very, very
Hmm.
impromptu, which happens purely based on the merit of the situation and of course your anticipation skills, right? So probably what can happen in
Hmm.
the future is that, say, if I am looking at a particular kind of juxtaposition, just as I mentioned, in a place where I have never been before. So what will help me eventually is to form a decision that, say, if I am, if my wall has red color in it, if this particular lane in Kutch has red colored lanes, probably I'll try
Hmm.
and wait for a person who's wearing a red colored t-shirt to pass by in this hour of the day. So what we'll eventually find out is the kind of light that might come in at point in time, because I've never been to that place. I'll understand that lighting condition a bit better, probably understand the environment a bit better, and probably I'll try and see if I can actually go ahead and create an image which is very similar to what my mid journey is giving me, right? But to be honest, this also goes a bit against the principle of street photography, which doesn't allow you to preconceive frames in your mind
Hmm.
beforehand. Because if you go with that, you will eventually not find anything and you will return empty handed, right? This has happened to me a lot when I started my journey, you know, because I love using the fishing technique in street photography, which is all about waiting in a spot to allow a subject to come in and to make that composition. I will probably destroy my entire process of thinking. But you never know, with technology impacting our lives so much, I pointing my camera towards a plate in my restaurant and my camera telling me that this is food and you should change your mode from maybe
Hmm.
photo to portrait mode. This is something that
Hmm.
has never happened in the past. When I saw it for the first time, it intrigued me. Maybe in the future, I also find newer ways of doing street photography, but not probably as of now. I will probably use
Hmm.
my anticipation skills, my
Hmm.
the way that I look for places, and probably
Hmm.
play the waiting game again.
Hmm. So I think I'm not sure if you'd agree with what I have to say regarding this. Is I think some genres, like you mentioned, the street photography, and apart from that, what I can think of is the photojournalism, which heavily relies on the authenticity of it. But apart from that, the other genres where it's more about putting your visual, your creativity, or your how do you say this, something that you for example create something dramatic, or something a dreamy looking or a surreal looking photos. Somebody who's more into that, I mean, do you think AI would be quite helpful to them, rather than to the genres like street photography and photojournalism?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. As I talked about the mood board concept, when the portrait photographers or maybe the wedding photographers are actually presenting a concept to their client, just to create a
Hmm.
deck in terms of how the pictures would look like, how the stories would flow, how would the one frame
Hmm.
complement the other frame. They can definitely generate, some sort of a mood board using an AI. This can also work for digital manipulators, who actually work on
Hmm.
Photoshop on a regular basis. They are also photographers, but they are called digital manipulators. And if you know, HIPAA
Hmm.
also has a category of digital manipulation as a part of their
Hmm.
entire photography system,
Hmm.
which is the largest photography competition of the world. So if that is a possibility, then AI can definitely help in terms of building that entire concept. But I generally do not
Hmm.
agree with the idea, because there are certain set of people who call themselves AI artists. Probably it is a
Hmm.
very early stage to call themselves an AI artist. There is no connotation like that. You can take inspiration, you can get inspired and maybe try on your own, but probably there's
Hmm.
something like an AI artist would not exist even in the future. That's what I
Hmm.
feel.
And what would be your suggestion to any beginning photographer who are delving into photography, but at the same time they're looking at a lot of AI options and all? What would be your suggestion? Should they be probably focusing on AI tools? Should they be using AI tools, or should they merely focus on developing their basic photography skills first?
See, first of all, you have to understand the camera that you have in hand. That is the live example of using AI in real life. Even when you are shooting even a cloudscape image, a very simple cloudscape image where everything is static, nothing is happening, that also has some extent or the other of AI in it because your camera has AI, right? So, to be honest, for me, the first step of a beginning photographer is to understand the device that is in hand, that is the growing manifestation of AI, right? If you do not understand how eye tracking works or eye focusing works, then you won't be able to make images even with the best of cameras that is there in hand, right? If you do not understand
Exactly.
yeah, that how the skin smoothing feature actually takes place, whether it will actually help you or not, in what condition should you use the skin smoothing technique, or for example the multiple exposure, the option that is there in Nikon cameras, which is a brilliant feature which a lot of people do not use, but that is also to some extent uses AI to understand how the two layers can actually merge with each other inside the camera itself, to create good images. So to understand photography first is how you begin your journey. How to expand it or how to add those, what do I say, those varnishes, to shine it, is the later part. That's what I feel.
Yes, I think I completely agree with you on that. Nitin san, since you're into teaching and all, do you come across students at your university who come and tell you about their photography skills, and also, tell you that this is something they've created using AI? How do you basically counter that? How do you see that transition, if there's that transition in the university among the students?
Very good question, sir. Even today, I'm giving you an example. Today, I was taking a class, and a student is having a mobile phone, not DSLR. He was just
Hmm.
passed out from 12th, class 12, senior secondary, and the my way of teaching is basically I've asked them to observe the light first of all, that what exactly is the light, how the light is falling. Typically, science in the class 9, we all have learned the angle of reflection, right? So today I have given a small assignment to the student that you have to click a landscape of the university, and he clicked two landscape. One is with the scene recognition with the help of AI tool, which is a much in the can much good image, we can say, visually. And one image he clicked with the pro mode of the mobile phone, right? So then he compares the two images. Sir, I have clicked one image with the help of pro mode, in which I have done each and everything, and the other image is the total artificial intelligence image, which I have used the scene recognition, and it actually enhanced the color saturation and each and everything, right? So actually, this generation, I have shared earlier also, that this generation is fond of using filters, even in for their selfies, mobile group selfies, right? So they are actually used to see the good pictures, the richness in colors, skin tone, fine skin tone, right? So actually, they are by default they are trying to inculcate that tool to their daily routine images. So yes, my students, they are very keen to learn these tools on their photography, sir.
Yeah, and do you think social media has a role to play here, because of the influence of social media? This transition is happening. A lot of students are basically relying on AI, and because they want their images to look really good, Instagram ready, and all of that stuff. Do you think a social media has a role to play here?
Totally agree, sir. I've said earlier also that we all are living in a global village, and the digital presence should be there, right? And not even digital presence. How you basically, it's all about communication. I'm communicating to my digital friends, to my digital audience, that what I'm actually feeling, right? Uh, in the early man stage, we all know that we don't have the language, right? We used to communicate with the man used to communicate with each other with the help of drawings, images, right? So as of now, we actually want, if I'm happy, I'm just putting my image on my social media, right? That might be a image of self-clicked or an AI image, right? But yes, we have to understand, then after social media, when you want to become a photographer, there you have asked a question to Samya sir, that what the parameters if you put the AI impact in street photography also. There's a quote from Stephen McCurry: "Rules are there to be broken." Right? Yes, there are
Mm.
certain rules for the different genres of photography, but yes, on the other side, if the such tools are there which can help us in our in our genre, we will definitely use that, right? We used the SLR cameras, then we shifted to DSLR cameras, then we shifted to SLR cameras, then we are working on a mobile phone also. This is all technological developments, and we actually related to our community related to this technological invention. One of the best gift to the mind, to the
Mm.
humankind, that is photography, right? And yes, our students even in the university, they are very familiar with the AI tools available in the smartphones. Now we are shifting them to the DSLRs also.
Mm. Yeah, I think you've raised a very nice point. That obviously because of the social media, there's a lot of influence, and I think there's a constant competition between photographers to come up on top. And under the pressure, it's very easy to rely on artificial intelligence tools rather than honing and developing your own skills. Samya-san, how do you see somebody entering a competition? How ethical is it to enter an AI image, in a competition where there is the entries have been submitted by photographers who've gone to a great extent to capture that image? Do you think this is something that we should, look at right now, or do you think AI should have a separate category, or it should be clearly defined that these images will only be considered under AI section?
So the answer is very simple. AI generated images cannot be submitted in a photography competition. There is no two ways about it. Even in the digital manipulation category, that is also not, you cannot have AI usage in it, at least till now. Of course, the
Mm.
world is progressing. There could be in the future, there could be separate categories for AI generated works. But as of now,
Mhm.
there is no scope for AI, in any form to be utilized in your final outputs. And we recently saw in a competition as well that probably somebody had submitted. It eventually will be
Mm.
caught when the raw file is asked for. Your
Exactly.
original unprocessed JPEG or raw file, any big international level competition will ask for verification, and the moment you get it, everything is in black and white. And in large
Mm.
competitions, if you are actually caught using such techniques, then you might be blacklisted in the
Mm.
future as well. So you should be very clear
Mm.
about, you can have, just like I mentioned, you can use AI as your inspiration, but your final output should not have any trace of AI in it. So that's the bottom line.
Exactly. Yes, thank you so much for answering that question. One last question I would like to ask, first to Nitin san, and then I'll come to Samya san. Out of curiosity, since we're talking about AI, do you think in near future humans are going to be replaced by artificial intelligent beings or something, or is this something of a distant dream right now?
Uh, if computer replaced human till now,
No, I don't think so.
answer is with you, sir. See, I have
Okay.
said earlier also that
Mm.
artificial intelligence is basically a tool, right?
Mm.
Just like photography. When photography was not there, even the images
Mm.
was there, na? With the
Mm.
artists, with the drawing sketches. If
Exactly.
that is still we can see that kind of that drawing still now, right? So these are developments, and this will come and go. The only thing is that that kind of development is put some taste towards our path, and it will actually develop in the form, in the way we can, right? So this is my submission, sir.
Okay. Samesh, and with Elon Musk coming out, being very worried about the future and saying that artificial intelligence is going to be very dangerous, do you think that humans are going to be replaced by AI bots or something?
See, in the year 1960s, 70s, all our certificates by the government, including birth certificate, death certificate, your residential
Mm.
certificate, everything was delivered manually, right? And there used to be a dealing
Mm.
assistant who used to sign it formally and used to give it to the people. So what happened slowly but surely is that all these certificates became online. People started
Mm.
to get, they can apply online, they can actually submit their proofs online, and probably without visiting the office, you will actually get those copies back at home. But did it actually eradicate any of the government officials out of their job? Did they lose their job? No, they did not. They probably upskilled themselves towards developing, towards giving those approvals online, which they were actually signing manually on files, right? So if we can progress, right? And I remember a very interesting dialogue. I don't remember who had said it, but it was a Hindi dialogue. He said that is computer ne us computer ko banaya, right? So if this computer doesn't exist, that computer would stop to function at some point in time. Well, of course, we'll have bots or drones supplying food to our homes. Swiggy will very soon do that. We'll probably have flying cars as well. But there will be somebody at the back end who will be actually repairing it to transfer it to reality. And of course, photography is obviously going to be shot by humans. Robots are not going to do that out there on the field. It is us who's going to create those magical moments, those emotions. We are going to capture it.
Right. I'm sure you guys would agree that artificial intelligence topic is such a huge and vast topic. I mean, we can go on talk about this for hours at an end and still not reach any conclusion. But yes, because the time limitations, we'll have to end this conversation right here. Thank you so much to our guests who have joined us and shared their opinion, valuable opinion, and replied to our questions. And very thank you so much to all our viewers also who watched this live. And for those who missed this live session, can watch this video on our Nikon YouTube official channel later. Thank you once again, everyone. Thank you so much, and stay tuned for more such interesting discussions. Until then, have a lovely evening ahead.
Thank you, Sharik. Thank you,
Sharik.
Nikon India, for arranging this. And I'm sure everybody would have gotten a lot of insights because of this. And for any questions, all of our DMs are open. Please feel free to DM us, and we'll answer all those there on Instagram itself.
Thank you, Sharik ji, and thank you, Sammya ji.
Thank you so much once
Thanks a
again.
lot.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.